Yikes is exactly how I would describe it. And I'm really curious, do you think that this Atlantic piece was the final straw here? Because that came out on Friday morning. It dropped, I believe, at 9 a.m. It was a must read for everyone in the media industry. And then since then, news has trickled out of CNN. On Tuesday night, the Wall Street Journal reported that top anchors like Aaron Burnett, Anderson Cooper, and Jake Tapper all were criticizing Chris Licht. So do you think that was more of icing on the cake and this Atlantic piece was the nail in the coffin?
I think it absolutely was. I think that, it really solidified what was happening inside the network. And, anytime you read something from an insider, it's not an accident, right? Leaks happen for a reason. And when, as you mentioned, you have the highest profile anchors at the network describing what they think of their boss, that tells you a lot. I worked for Aaron Burnett when I was at CNN. This is not somebody who is, loose with that kind of thing. This is super smart person who been a survivor inside that network. If her name is attached, Jake Tapper's name is attached, that means they are more fearful for the network's future than they are worried about offending Chris Licht. And it probably tells you they think that he's short term and their future, they have to worry more about that than caring about him because he's most likely not going to last.
It seemed like he did a little bit of soul searching over the weekend. He came in on Monday morning during the 9 a.m. editorial call and he issued a slew of apologies. I'll read you some quotes that dripped out of it. He said this: "To those whose trust I've lost, I will fight like hell to win it back. CNN is not about me. I should not be in the news unless it's taking arrows for you." And that he is fighting to ensure CNN remains the most trusted name in news. Do you think that was just too little, too late, or the damage was already done?
Definitely. I mean, it was definitely too little, too late. There's no doubt about that. And I think the problem is anybody inside that network, anybody who really pays attention to that network would tell you that, that would have been a good place to start, Chris Licht. It would have been a good idea to listen from day one. You think about coming in as a leader, especially when you're not somebody that is a known entity. Sure, everybody at CNN knew who he was, but he wasn't necessarily from that particular world. Being in TV doesn't mean you're part of cable news, right? So he comes in, and there is a sort of humility that you have to have as a leader to say, I don't presume to understand how CNN works the way you guys understand it. I'm here to find out, right? I have my own vision. I have my marching orders. All of those things are true, but I also respect you, respect the work you do. And now I'm here to find out exactly what you care about, where you think the problems are, where you need more support, all of those things. Even if it's just talk, it's important talk for the mass of people who make CNN happen to hear. He apparently never did that. And you can't go in on, a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday, or a Monday and say, look, I shouldn't be a distraction. I'm here to protect you. It's like, I think they very much felt unprotected for the good course of a year. And when he said that, it's like, great words, way too late.
I do want to talk about the past year for CNN. Jeff Zucker resigned and he was a beloved figure at CNN. And then Chris Licht comes in and his first, business order, let go of hundreds of staffers and get rid of CNN Plus, a project people have been working on for over a year. So obviously, when your boss lays off your colleagues, gets rid of a big project, you're going to be upset. But then there was a series of missteps. Do you think he was set up for failure from the very beginning?
That's a good question. I don't know that I have a real clear answer on that. I think that he was certainly hobbled by being essentially tasked with getting rid of CNN Plus. As you said, a lot of work went into it. Maybe it was a mess to begin with. That you could make that argument. But coming in, and that's the first thing you do, that's rough. He did say at that time a year ago to, everybody at CNN, look, this isn't your fault. It's on me. This is what has to happen as a business decision. Okay. Layoffs are never easy. But again, it's what did he do after that? What did he do to build bridges, to, build relationships, to go forward past that point? And you get the sense that he didn't do enough, surely. And then there were a lot of other problems. He had the morning show that he personally created failed. I mean, it opened with ratings that were lower than the show that it replaced. And there was all kinds of problems behind the scenes between Don Lemon and his co-hosts, a lot of distracting media coverage. And then, of course, there was that Trump town hall where, and that was the first time I think you really start to see some of CNN's journalists really making clear that they think that the guy who's running the network is damaging the network. They accused him of essentially handing over an hour of prime time to Donald Trump to lie in front of a cheering partisan crowd. And, you have somebody like Christiane Amanpour, who is a distinguished global journalist, talking about how wrong that decision was. And it takes a while. I think it takes a lot to get to the point where people will talk outside the network. TV networks of all kinds, backstabbing, brutal, inside the newsroom, people are always talking about other people. When you're talking outside and your quotes are in print, woof, that is a bad situation. It seems like he got there pretty quick.